There are more than enough videos that exist on the internet today about how to glow up, how to have the perfect hair, skin, makeup, and look. I take responsibility for some of this because I am someone who's in the beauty industry and I love makeup, skincare, and hair. But I also really want to put an emphasis on the importance of the real glow up, which is your mindset, your emotional health, your physical health, your financial health, your spiritual health. Today, I want to talk about how to glow up for real and not just the way that you look. I believe if you feel good, you look good anyway, so you might as well focus on the inside glow up first. So if you're new to the channel here, hi, my name is Krizia. I'm a makeup artist who is also a multi-passionate creative person. Let's jump straight into it. I'm not going to tell you to dip your face in an ice bath, which I'm sure there are some great benefits to that. I actually have been wanting to try that myself. But today I want to talk about 5 steps. That's it, 5 steps. Probably thinking, who are you to talk about a glow up, right? Well, I'm going to give you a little backstory. For a lot of people, including myself, tragedy is sometimes what unfortunately has to happen in order for you to change your life for the better. And that was the case for me because 2 years ago, I was in a completely dark place. My dog, my best friend of 14 years, suddenly passed away, and it was very, very tragic. I don't even want to talk about it because if I get into detail, you will be traumatized. But it was sudden, it was unexpected, and it was traumatizing. That in a combination with so many other things that happened around the same time. My sister went missing, which I have never talked about. I don't plan to at this moment, but one day maybe I will. And now I was in debt because taking my dog to the hospital on these last days, the last thing that I wanted to be doing was negotiating extremely expensive hospital bills, probably the lowest points of my life. Coming from that dark place, it did force me to lean on spirituality. I wasn't really a spiritual person. I started praying, I meditated, I journaled, I cried, I looked for therapy, even though it was really impossible to find for some reason. I did everything and anything because I was so desperate to change my life, which leads me into my first step, which is embracing spirituality. No matter what spirituality looks like to you, whether it's religious or just spiritual in a different sense, to glow up from within, you have to believe that you are here for a bigger purpose than what you can see. This helps you connect with yourself on a deeper level. I truly wholeheartedly believe being spiritual will raise your aura and light in a way that nothing else in life can. You can feel when you're in the presence of someone who has a higher purpose and is functioning from beyond the ego. Step 2 is start a new journey. This kind of happened to me intentionally and unintentionally at the same time. So not that long after this whole situation passed for me, I lost my job. During the most crazy inflation, lost my full-time job unexpectedly. I'm so grateful that I intentionally chose to start a side hustle, which is content creation, which is now my main hustle. Starting a new journey is the beginning of a true glow up. You have to be open to new beginnings. For me, starting content was a new journey that I consciously decided to do before I got laid off from my job. But when I got laid off, I was forced to look at my life and think, well, do I embrace being uncomfortable and just go all in? Or do I try to find another job, but that I know that I wouldn't be happy at because this was ultimately what I wanted to be doing full time anyway? Start a new journey, okay? If you're not in this position where you got laid off or lost a job or something happened outside of your control, starting a new routine, starting a new class, maybe you are tired of being in a toxic environment, you're now on a mission to get out and find a new place to live, starting to post your journey on social media, passion or a dream that you've always thought about that you never had the courage to do, like any of those things would be starting a new journey. And I found that sharing my journey, like I'm someone who's on social media, so for me this makes sense. But for example, I found sharing this on social media to hold me more accountable. When I said I'm starting a glow up journey at the beginning of the year, I said I'm starting a glow up journey and I am going to get in the best shape physically and financially, mentally, emotionally. Like after my year of darkness, I told myself that I am now embarking on this new glow up journey. And that truly drove me to stay consistent. Find something that is kind of similar that you can do for yourself that makes sense in your case. because you want to just break the routine and you want to give yourself a little new energy. Maybe you can run into new people that day. Maybe you can run into a new opportunity, anything like that. And step 3 is to focus on your financial health. This was a big one for me because, you know, I'm kind of like a crazy person in the sense that I decided to go all in all areas of my life. Like this year I was not playing around because, like I said, I had gone through such a dark, traumatic year that the following year I decided that I'm gonna turn my life around. And I'm not joking this time. Part of that was my financial glow up because I had accumulated debt that I had not really fully dealt with. And to be honest, I didn't even really pay attention to my debt prior to this. I was like just throwing random payments and hoping for the best. But like I decided to get serious and take control of my situation. And with that came getting clear on my debt. What is it that I actually owe? How can I save? But also more importantly, how can I make more money? Because if you are in a path of paying off debt, you know that there's only so much you could save. You have to just make more money if you really want to make change and you want to make it fast. I have a whole other video that goes into how I paid off my debt and that whole story. If you guys want to watch it, I'll leave it in the description box. Money gives options. It's no secret, right? Like you don't need to be a millionaire, but you do need to be in a better position to think clear, to make better decisions. And if you're constantly in scarcity mindset because you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're never going to be able to invest in yourself in other areas. You won't be able to get your physical health on point. You won't be able to think clearly. You'll be constantly stressed, and it just affects everything. So I know it's easier said than done, but really prioritize a plan and get serious about your finances. If you can find a way to pick something in your new journey that can also make you more money, then that's the jackpot. That's truly what I did. Content became my new journey, but I didn't even plan on making really like extra money from it. It was more of like a way to cope during that time, but being creative and embracing my new journey as a creator helped me actually accidentally make a ton of money to pay off all my debt. So if you can find something that does both, even better. But the bottom line here is if you really want to glow up, like you also have to change your mindset on the way that you spend and look at money overall. Like I realized you either want to look rich or be rich, okay? And sometimes you are both, sure. But most times than not, people are striving to look rich more than be rich. And that's because it's easier to look rich because it's a short-term decision of spending now, buying now, having now, versus training yourself to think more long-term and do things in the short term that make you feel more poor, like not splurging when you don't necessarily have enough room in your income to actually afford what it is that you want. By delaying the gratification, you're gonna glow up because you're just that much more confident in your decision making and not trying to keep up with everyone, not trying to compare yourself to everyone, and not trying to fit in with everyone. Like the whole idea of glowing up is like finding that inner confidence that is so unbothered and unshakable no matter what. I do like to invest in my appearance a little bit, like as far as like my hair, makeup, skincare, and having like decent clothes. But now that I'm even making a lot more money, like I truly don't even feel like I need it. Step 4 is build emotional intelligence. This one hits home for me. It's very big for me because there's some people in my family that are very emotionally immature, and it affected me a lot to the point where I think that's what drove me to want to be the complete opposite now that I'm in my own life and my adult life. It's very clear when someone is emotionally mature versus immature, okay? And if it's not clear enough for you, let me just give you a little rundown. Emotional immaturity, it doesn't have anything to do with age. You can be 50 years old and be emotionally immature, and you could be 20 years old and be very emotionally mature. It's self-awareness, that's what it is. Are you self-aware to know when you're being part of the problem? When you're engaging in toxic habits like gossip or trying to stir up things? Are you being manipulative? Like, are you the problem? You know, I think self-awareness is huge. If you really want to glow up, you have to be willing to take accountability and look at yourself first more than anyone, because it's easy to blame, and it's easy to blame and point the finger on outside things that we can't control, like the government, our family, people we don't like. But when it comes to taking responsibility, like that is where your confidence really comes from. When you are so emotionally mature that you're aware, oh, maybe I am the problem and I can work on that, because now you're thinking in a solution-based mindset versus a complaining victim mode mindset. Journaling will help you fine-tune your emotional intelligence a lot. Every morning, if you focus on gratitude and every night you focus on reflecting, your emotional intelligence you'll be so surprised how much different you handle situations, how much less you react to situations that used to trigger you so much. And this all has to do with an inner glow up, because again, if you are in control of your emotions, you claim your power back. So if you're so easily triggered and so easily reactive towards every little thing and person, you maybe aren't as emotionally mature as you might think you are. I have a simple rule that I live by, and it's create before you consume. And that literally changed my life. I think Marie Forleo had said that, so shout out to Marie. But create before you consume. If you wake up and you just start consuming content, other people's lives, other people's opinions, and then you watch TV and you're cluttering your brain with so many different stories and like scrolling so fast through different things, how can you set yourself up to even hear your own voice and your own thoughts? You can't. Start prioritizing yourself, your mental health, your emotional health, first thing in the morning and the last thing before bed. Trust me. People who are happy, confident, and secure don't constantly criticize and judge other people. And you know, this was really hard for me because I feel like I grew up in an environment, like part of my family's culture was sitting around a table and talking about other people in our family. And honestly, it's sad to say, but like I didn't realize that was toxic because that's how I grew up, and eventually decided to opt out of it. Once I started to separate myself from that kind of environment, I started to realize how much better I was feeling while I wasn't constantly hearing chatter about other people. And gossip is so toxic. Listen more than you talk. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room to show that you're confident. In fact, I would argue that the loudest person in the room is usually the most insecure. Just stop feeling the need to prove yourself in every little situation, especially in social settings. Part of emotional intelligence is get educated. A lot of times we are stressed and anxious about things because we're not educated enough on them. Start reading books. Start opening up your mind to new concepts, to new ideas. Especially if you're someone like me, who I grew up in a small town and I wanted to manifest bigger into my life. And I realized that if I didn't have anyone in my immediate circle that I could be inspired by or who could give me new ideas, I needed to go out and find them. So, you know, finding people on YouTube or finding books that I can relate to. Like, you need to find some kind of way to keep growing your mind and opening your mind to new ideas, because you won't even know what is possible until you hear that it's possible. Like just the other day, I thought I was thinking big, found an entrepreneur, and she's talking about buying small businesses. And I was like, I never even thought of that. Like, how did that thought never crossed my mind. So the thing is, if you want to actually glow and grow, you need to find new sources to get information from and be around people who are smarter than you, honestly. And step 5 is prioritize physical health, okay? I know we've heard this so many times, and let me just tell you before you roll your eyes, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you can show up for yourself physically, you can definitely show up for yourself in all other areas of your life. If science isn't enough evidence to show you that it also affects your mood, your stress, your energy, if vanity metrics motivate you, you will also look so damn good. Find some sort of exercise routine that makes you feel good, you know, and don't feel a need to like punish yourself in your workouts. I just felt like once I started this new Pilates class, like I could really just show up, clock in, and that's it. Because the rest was taken care of. My instructor is amazing, and all I had to do was show up, you know. And there's something to be said about showing up to a class too. I love classes personally because, you know, even though I like working out at home, and I know you can, I do feel that there is value in investing in your environment. So not only are you investing in yourself, but you're investing in your environment. Go where your higher self would be. And I asked myself, where would the higher version of Krizia be? She would be surrounded by people who share values of being fit, being wealthy, following their dreams. So I need to be in those places where I can be surrounded by people who share those similar values. And what kind of people go to Pilates? A lot of times people who are willing to invest in themselves financially, physically, mentally, spiritually, all the things that I share values with as well. With physical health also is prioritizing sleep. Do not sleep on sleep. Your skin looks better, your mood is better, everything is better when you get good enough sleep. You make better decisions, you eat better, you're happier, you're more alert, you get more done, you're more productive. Please get your sleep. Every time that I did something in this journey that gave me some kind of result, it motivated me to keep going. I paid off my debt, keep going. I started to see results in my body, keep going. Whatever you can do to give yourself some sort of result immediately, I promise you it's gonna inspire you to keep going. So take some sort of action on any of these categories, and I promise, give it 6 months. We're in July. If you challenge yourself to start a new journey from now to the end of the year, you could become a completely different, unrecognizable version of yourself by the end of the year. So in conclusion, those are the 5 steps that I truly believe will contribute to a full glow up, not just a surface level type of glow up, but a true glow up. It's all about becoming the best version of yourself. The biggest thing is starting to think less short term and more long term. Choosing to not gossip may not be fun in the moment because people will think you're uncool, but you don't want to be around those people anyways. Train yourself to resist short-term satisfaction with long-term gratification. Detach from the results, detach from the outcome, and don't look at it every day like, am I different today? Am I different today? Just lose yourself in the process. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, let me know in the comments, and I'm rooting for you. If you made it to the end, say glow up. If you enjoyed this video, then I'll leave a couple videos linked here that I think you'll also enjoy. Live out your highest dreams and be the best version of yourself. Love you, friends, and I will see you in the next video.